Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing the 2000 thriller Hollow Man. Hey everybody, welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. I'm Wyatt. This week I am joined by Alex, and we are going to be talking about the 2000 film Hollow Man. This film doesn't really get a lot of attention, I feel. I'm surprised that you asked me to review it here. This is a movie I have seen a long time ago. Probably around maybe around when it came out, a little after. When's the first time you saw this movie?
So actually, when I was young, remember when League of Extraordinary Gentlemen came out?
Yeah.
I loved The Invisible Man. So then I read the book for The Invisible Man, and that's how whenever that came out. So I was a kid, but that's when I tracked this movie down, and I was like, all right, this is an Invisible Man, or somewhere around that time. But it was right around that time I watched this movie. Plus, I love Kevin Bacon.
I do like Kevin Bacon. Now this is directed by Paul VerHoeven, who has done a lot of classic movies at this point, big budget blockbusters. He had RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, Basic Instinct. He did a lot of stuff. He did Showgirls, and after that, his career kind of faded out. But he had a lot of top films that a lot of people still consider classics today.
Yeah, man, RoboCop's. I didn't know he did RoboCop.
Yeah.
So how does it get from here to I don't know. It's just weird, I guess.
It is very weird. And he actually considers this apparently he didn't like this movie after he made it. He thought it was just kind of too easy for him. He thought it was kind of by the books of very studio type movie. He said it's not up to par with his other movies that he made. He just wasn't happy with it after he made it. Which, I mean, I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't remember much from the movie, because it's been so damn long. It was a lot gorier than I remembered it being, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was a pretty good thriller.
I like it a lot. I liked it in the beginning when I first watched it. And I love, now more than I did back then, I love that 90s CG they have on it.
Yeah.
Oh, it just is...
And some parts of it, and we'll get to it, but some parts of it look pretty bad, but there's some that look decent for the time at 2000.
Yeah, for sure.
But like you mentioned, it stars Kevin Bacon, has Elizabeth Shue in there, and Josh Brolin, who at this time he wasn't really that big of an actor. He kind of rejuvenated his career with No Country for Old Men, the Coen brothers movie, and after that's when he really started hitting all these big budget movies. And then of course he went on to play Thanos. Apparently Robert Downey Jr. was in line to get this role from Josh Brolin. Apparently it was between him and Josh Brolin. So at this time RDJ was also trying to rejuvenate his career after everything that was going on in the 90s. But it's interesting because the lead role of Sebastian that Kevin Bacon plays, it was supposed to be Guy Pearce or Edward Norton. Apparently they were up for the part as well.
I could see Edward Norton.
And the role of Linda would have, instead of Elizabeth Shue, it would have been J-Lo. Which, I mean,
she took Anaconda instead.
Yeah, she must have took Anaconda instead. She was doing some movies at that time, but it would have been a weird movie, I feel, because Kevin Bacon, man, he does a great job as playing a villain in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's a jerk in this, dude.
Oh yeah, he's an asshole.
He is sadistically a jerk. You're like, damn, man, what the fuck?
Kevin Bacon thought this would be one of the easiest jobs because he just thought it was going to be, since it's an Invisible Man, he thought he was doing a lot of voiceover and a lot of just voice acting. Not the case. It actually ended up being one of the toughest movies he's ever had to make because he was in all of these green outfits and black outfits and doing all this mocap stuff as he's acting. So it became a lot harder for him than he originally thought. And apparently the director, Paul VerHoeven, during the course of most likely probably the ending of this movie, he actually put hidden speakers around the set so that you actually get a genuine reaction out of these actors from all these just sounds coming from different places. Like it is an actual Invisible Man. But I thought that
everybody plays really well off of this invisible force. When I was watching it, I was like, man, they really do a good job. This isn't here. And in some scenes you can tell there's nothing there. They're not even green screening or anything. There's just nothing there.
Yeah.
And people are they do a good job. It's a guilty pleasure movie for sure, but I like it.
To get into the movie here, I don't remember the invisible stuff kind of being in the movie from the jump. From what I remembered, I just thought they were kind of experimenting, trying to do this stuff. they were already testing this on animals at this point. Like from the start of the movie, you open with that rat being killed by the invisible gorilla. That really kind of opens up the movie because you see the blood go all over its face and stuff. So you know you're in for a ride with this movie. And then you get Sebastian kind of working on trying to get what do they call it? They cracked the reversion is what they are calling it. You also get a peek into who he is as a person, and that is just he's a pervert. He's peeping on his neighbor for a little bit, and then he cracks the code. He figures it out, and you really kind of get to see his personality, you know, through this scene, and then just going to the warehouse. And for a government facility, they hide it in a pretty shabby warehouse, and then like a super nice facility below the ground. Josh Brolin was trying to, I guess, sedate the gorilla. He gets bit and attacked. You get introduced to the goggles that you see in throughout the movie here, where you can see the invisible beings, which is also parodied in Scary Movie 2 a lot when they're trying to chase the ghosts. But then you get just the interactions between Josh Brolin's character and Kevin Bacon. You kind of get to see into their relationship a little bit. And throughout the movie, like Josh Brolin's kind of chasing to be what Kevin Bacon is a little bit.
Well, at least Kevin thinks so.
Well, at least Kevin thinks so. But I mean, even he's saying that it's like I'm not as good as he is. Pretty much is what he's saying. But you really get a peek into the life of what they do. They're experimenting on these animals. They're trying to, at this point, bring them back from being invisible. You kind of see the process that they're going through. They finally matched up that reversion.
Why would they start with a gorilla? Like, that's a big fucking animal to lose.
Yeah, because you see that they have invisible dogs. They have invisible monkeys. Why wouldn't you test it on one of them before you did the gorilla first? Because
none of them were visible yet, so they didn't get it to work yet on anything.
And whenever they're doing it, we'll get to it, but when they're doing an experiment on him, he's breaking out of these straps, but the gorilla had no problem. Like, he was strapped down. Like, he was going nowhere. How they didn't mention, but did Kevin Bacon get superpowers? Because there's some points in here where it seems like he has superhuman strength, but they never say anything of if that's a side effect of this. The only side effect you really know about is just you get irritable. You kind of go stir crazy.
I didn't like
lose your mind after a while.
We'll get there, but I didn't like that part of it. But we'll get there.
But yeah, you get some cool CGI shots here of them bringing the gorilla back.
That's my favorite, man. When it's like when the serum is like going into the bones and stuff. I thought
it was really cool. Where you just see it going down the veins, and then like the bones start growing, the muscles start forming on top of that. Once it gets to the hair, then it gets kind of like looks a little bad. But when it cuts to as it's kind of filling out down his legs, it cuts to like a shot of an actual like kind of a physical like gorilla top, but the bottom is all CGI and it looks so weird. You could totally tell.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, I saw it immediately. You could see where it kind of outlined, and it's just a physical like prop on top. But yeah, it's a success, and they figured out how to do this. The next step, you would think it would be human trials, but they have this meeting with, I guess it's just a military. They never really explain. It's just it's
Omnicorp.
It's Omnicorp. That's what we're gonna call it. But Kevin Bacon lies to him, saying that they didn't figure this out. And then he was like, his reasoning was they're not ready to know. They're gonna get rid of us anyway once we find it. We might as well just go straight to phase 3. And phase 3 is human testing. But then they lie to everybody else that they're working with, saying, yeah, they gave us the approval. Like, we're just going to go ahead with the tests and everything like we were planning to. And the deal was that he would be the guinea pig in this. But it's all a complete sham. It's all a complete lie. They're just doing it anyway, which could lose them their jobs. They could lose everything by doing this.
All the grants. Yeah. You missed, and it's going to come up later, you learn around this part too that Josh Brolin and Kevin Bacon's ex are sleeping together. Yeah. And Kevin doesn't know this yet, Sebastian, I'm sorry, we're going to call him Kevin. Sebastian doesn't know this yet, but as an audience member.
Yeah, he knows that she's with somebody. Because at that first scene where he cracks the revision, he calls her on the webcam, and there's somebody in the background. He's like, oh, who's that? And she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend.
Don't worry.
Don't worry about it. But he knows there's somebody, just doesn't know who. That comes into play later. But yeah, Josh Brolin, sneaking around. Nobody knows about it. And for good reason, because Kevin Bacon a little unstable, it seems.
You find out.
You find out. But they go through all the trouble. They inject him with the serum. Pretty much he has like a heart attack, and like he goes through a lot. It looks painful, man. Like the way he's like arching his back, it looks crazy. Kind of reminds me of American Werewolf in London a little bit. Go check out that review. A little similarity there. Just how painful the transformation looks.
How the contortion looks, yeah.
Yeah. But like we mentioned, he's busting out of these straps. They're trying to hold him down. I don't understand how he's busting out, but the gorilla wasn't. But it was a success as well. They were able to get him invisible, but he passed out, just going into shock and everything. This is where it gets crazy from here. You get invisible Kevin Bacon. They make a point to say that he has transparent eyelids because the brightness affects him, and I thought they were going to use something with brightness eventually.
Never did, yeah.
No, it seems like they set it up for that to happen at some point, and then it just never comes into play because they mention it like 2 or 3 times, like, oh, his eyelids are transparent.
Yeah. Which, even like when he's sleeping in these scenes, like he never has anything over his eyes or anything. I was like, you think they'd give him a face mask or something?
Yeah, put like a mask over top.
Yeah.
Or else you're awake all the time. Maybe he is, because he even says, like, what was he said? Like, Da Vinci never slept, or I forget who he says it was, but he's like, oh, they never sleep. And that's why he's kind of like pacing all the time and walking around going stir crazy a little bit. But this first night, him by himself, the very first night by himself, he decides to just go and just sexually harass Sarah. He goes and just unbuttons her top, playing with her boobies a little bit. It's not cool, Kevin. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Sebastian? Man.
It's not cool in 2022, and it wasn't cool back in that day either, man.
And like, they really lean heavy into like his pervert side into this movie. And it's just so like, because it makes me uncomfortable during like rape scenes in movies and stuff. So it's like just this, like watching it, like he's peeping on these girls, and then he's like messing with them while they're sleeping. It's just like
real uncomfortable.
It is, man. It's uncomfortable.
Later's worse. It gets way worse. I mean, we'll get there, but
yeah, worse. That one is.
So there is, and I'm gonna bring it up right after he does this with Sarah, and they come back. He's getting more and more frustrated as this movie's going. Like the next scene is them. It's weeks, and they can't get him back, another cool CGI scene of them trying to get him back, and they talk about how this thing is making him crazy, like the serum. Yeah. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that they gave him an out like that. I just wanted him to be a dick who just like got like a god complex, and like,
yeah, because they even say like heavier. He jokes about like I'm God, like, because he says like he jokes about it, and they even say like he calls himself a god. Like, what do you expect from this guy?
Yeah.
But they kind of hint at it like in the very beginning there with the gorilla. They said that she's been more irritated lately and agitated and like lashing out more. So that kind of, I guess, sets it up. But like you said, it would have been a little bit more impactful if that's just how he was.
Yeah, I just wanted him to be like, this is why I was underneath the surface the whole time. I thought they should have leaned. They did do a good job, but they should have leaned a little heavier for me in that.
Yeah, but I mean, the women in the facility are starting to get a little uncomfortable at this point. I mean, you have, him sexually harass Sarah.
And she kind of knows, too.
Yeah, she knows. She doesn't really speak up, though, about it at first.
Yeah.
But that other lady in there, she's going to the bathroom, and she thinks she hears somebody in there. And then she gets uncomfortable. And then he decides to just make a move on Linda all of a sudden, even though she's with somebody. He's like, oh, you always want to know what it would be like to make love to an invisible person or whatever. And then he's like trying to kiss her and like touching her and stuff. It's like, man, what are you doing? Like, she's with someone.
Creeping, man. Just
creeping this whole movie, man. And he does not care at all. But like you said, they try to bring him back. It doesn't work. He pretty much goes into shock and is like almost having a seizure at that point. But luckily they were able to bring him back out. He's still invisible, so they kind of lean into it because they have to, once again, crack the reversion to bring him back, it seems. To bring a human back. Because he's going to be living like this and everybody's getting uncomfortable, they decide to make him like a mask, like a cast for his arms and his head.
It's like
stuff.
Silicone.
Yeah, and they just pour it on and they're just like moving around. They dry it. And I think it looks so cool. This is one of the better effects during the movie here. It's just empty eye holes and mouth. It just looks so creepy.
When he scares the kid later in the car. Yeah. Oh, that's such a cool. He's just like, it's such a cool effect.
He like puts his sunglasses up. But yeah, like it's just creepy. It's just a general creepiness when you see him. Like, it just looks so unnatural.
What made me the most uncomfortable at that is when they're doing it and they're actually pouring it and she's cutting into his
All
eye.
around his eye.
I was like, how would you know where he is? Like, fuck that.
Take it off after it
Yeah.
dries and then cut it.
Yeah.
And what I noticed as you see through, it doesn't look like they even put nose holes in it. It's just his open mouth and eyes. That's it.
That's why he's always mouth open.
He's just mouth breathing the whole time.
It'd have been a funnier scene if he breathes out for his nose and it all like puffs up.
You kind of get the start of him losing it. He's pacing around all the time. And then he decides, fuck this. I'm leaving. I'm going to go out and do whatever I want. I'm not going to be a guinea pig here trapped in this cage. I'm going to bust out of here.
I'll be back.
Yeah. He even tells the dude that's supposed to be watching him. He's like, yeah, I'm going to leave. I'll be back. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're supposed to be here. He's like, I made the rules. What are you talking about? I could change them.
I made the rules.
I made the rules. I could change it. And he's like sneaking past the guard. He's like purposely hiding himself and putting the roof up on his car and everything as he's driving out. But yeah, you get that cool scene. He was messing with the kids at the stoplight.
Yeah, he's weird.
And everything. Which is a nice little fun scene, and then it takes a dark turn when he goes to his apartment. He sees the girl changing, and he even tells himself, like, don't do it. Like, don't think about it. Like, come on, man, don't do it. And then instantly, like, yeah, I'm going to do
it. He's just like, fuck it.
I knew he was going to be invisible eventually, but I forgot that this was just like, he could just take off the mask and the gloves or whatever whenever he wanted. I thought that, like, it looks like it's so thin that even if you tried to, it would just peel apart, like, so easily.
So it's terrible because he takes it on and off a ton.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. Right.
But yeah, then you get a pretty uncomfortable scene where he's going and pretty much messing with this chick. He's like knocking on her door. She comes out and then he kind of sneaks in. And I like through the majority of this movie, whenever he's doing this kind of stuff, you get like a first person point of view where he's kind of just sneaking around, going in here. He's messing with the mirror and stuff. And luckily, I mean, it could have went farther than it did, but right whenever he kind of jumps at her is when it cuts away.
Yeah. You can kind of see her in the background, though, when the girl's in the apartment. Like,
I was trying to see, but I didn't notice anything. I'll have to look at it again.
You can kind of see him on the bed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's uncomfortable. It's not the worst scene like that I've ever seen, but, you know, it's enough.
You know what happened.
Yeah, it's enough. It's enough to make you hate the guy. You're like, all right. You were just dicking with people at first. Even the Sarah thing, you're just like, all right, he just fucked with her. I mean, he's a creep, awful person, but like he didn't go that far. And then this one, you're like, all right, man, you're the villain.
And you're the dude immediately calls like Linda and Matt saying like, hey, he left. Like, I don't know where he went and all this. She goes immediately to his apartment, finds that he took off the mask and the gloves and everything. She couldn't find him. They confront him about it, and he's like, what's the big deal? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know how you expect me to stay locked up. And it's like, from an outside point of view, even not being with the experiment, you're like, if you're being experimented on, you should be in the facility. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Like, the medicine we gave you yesterday could have made you collapse and you'd be an invisible person out. Nobody just tripping over you.
Yeah. Like, what is that?
Yeah, what the fuck?
People just tripping over something. Nothing there in the middle of the sidewalk.
The fuck is that?
But yeah, they confront him. And then they kind of harshen the security a little bit, but he finds a way around it by like rewiring the security camera where it just loops an image over and over and over, and it just makes it seem like he's there. And that gives him leave to go out and do whatever he wants as an invisible man.
Well, he kind of picks up at this point that because Josh Brolin's character and the girl, what was her name? Linda? Is that her name?
Linda.
Yeah, Linda are real mad at this point, and they've already kind of said that they're telling Omnicorp that they did this, and he overhears them because he's standing there visibly, you know, like so that's why he breaks out this time.
And then he goes straight to her house, and that's whenever he discovers that they're together, and then smashes that window right when they're about to do it and everything. But they know it's him because like they look out the window, they see the railing moving and stuff, the fire escape. It's like there's no other invisible men running around. Crazy scene I totally forgot about. He's going crazy and he kills this dog. It's just yapping he's just losing it. And you just like he kind of pulls it off screen, and then all of a sudden you just see him bash that dog against that, and it's like using that like the heat
the
infrared or whatever,
yeah.
and you just see like the blood splatter and everything. And I was
Yeah,
like, holy
that is a
shit, I
crazy
did
scene.
not remember that at all.
And now if you didn't hate him, another good thing to make people hate movie characters for them to kill a dog.
Oh yeah,
Like that's
instantly
another
hate.
great thing. You hate
Instant
him then.
hate.
Yeah, the dog dies, I'm mad at this point.
Instant hate. Yeah, at that point they say, all right, you killed, like, they know too. They're like, hey man, you killed a dog, you've been busting out. Like, this is not cool, man. Like, you're losing it. We're going to tell the committee, we're going to tell the generals that we're doing everything. Yeah, and pretty much that's whenever they leave to go do this. He busts out again, and right after they leave, and the general, he seems mad, but he's like so cool about it. At the same time, he's like, I wish you would have told us a lot sooner. But and then they're like, well, we're sorry. And he's like, well, it's too late for sorries. And he's like, not even that mad. He's just like, I'm more so disappointed, I guess, than mad. Which, like, I feel like you would be furious if someone, like, you did human testing that was not authorized on this, and like, you can get sued. Like, I'm sure there's just huge consequences to these actions.
I love that right after he lets him leave. I love the line where she's like, the wife comes down, she's like, is everything okay, honey? He's like, I got a lot of generals to wake up. Like, that's his worst reaction. I just got a lot of generals. Oh, I gotta make calls.
Yeah, and he goes to do that. The phone instantly cuts out, and he doesn't really even check. Like, he looks at it, and there's nothing cut. But he goes outside to smoke his pipe. And I actually like this scene because he as he's blowing the smoke out, he's standing right there, and you see the smoke going around Kevin Bacon. And then he pushes him in the water. Now, of course, this is like 2000. I'm sure they were working on the effects in like the late 1999, mid 1999. So the CG is not that great, but it's serviceable in this pool scene.
This is the roughest of the CG for me. The whole pool scene's the roughest of the CG.
Yeah, and then like probably towards the end, like when the sprinklers and like stuff with the water.
I actually like the sprinklers. I think because of how it hits, I like that a little better. This one looked like a shape in the water kind of stuff. It was good though. I'm with you. It was good.
Yeah, but I think it worked. It did its job. Yeah. But you could tell, like, as he was getting out of the pool, there's like you could see they make it look like there's water running, but the water's not moving on him at all.
Yeah.
And as he's walking, I expected it to kind of just wash off of him, and then there's going to be nothing there. But it just kind of stays on him the whole time as he's walking away.
Yeah, running butt naked.
But yeah, he kills the general, and at this point, he decided, I'm going to kill everybody that knows about this because we cannot let this out. I'm going to use this power to whatever I want to do. Like, I created this. This is my project. I should be able to do whatever I want with it.
Yeah, he doesn't even want to go back at this point. He's cool with being invisible.
Yeah, they go back. They're trying to figure it out. He's actually there in his little outfit still. They decide to call, and they find out that the general is dead already. So they decide to try to call somebody else and let them know. And as they're talking to him, the line gets cut. They try to leave. Like I said, the key cards aren't working. And then all hell breaks loose. Pretty much he's hunting them, and then they're hunting him at this point.
Yeah. And this is a good chunk of the movie too. This is the last third. Like, this isn't just like
30 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, this isn't like it's the last 10 minutes of the movie they do it. No, this is a good chunk, which is probably the best part here coming, like, this whole section for me.
Yeah, and I mean, it kicks off. I mean, they're like, fuck this. We're going to go down and hunt him. We're just going to hunt him now. They grab some goggles. And it just so happens Janice is a little too far behind. She's the first one that gets it in the facility here. He like chokes her out and stuffs her in that locker.
Yeah, the one guy's death, we'll get there, but yeah, he just chokes her out. Then they're going to the elevator at this point, right?
No, they're hunting them down. They kind of split up a little bit, I'm pretty sure, at this point, because the next thing I have here is the standoff with Matt. Matt and that other dude, I didn't have his name down, but I've seen him in other shit. He's been in some like J.J. Abrams stuff.
Yeah.
But it's him and Josh Brolin kind of walking around looking for him. They think they see him behind a pipe, but it's just ventilation coming up from the floor. And this is one of the parts where I say I think he has like some extra strength to him, because he grabs this dude. He's laying on top of this pipe on the ceiling, and he grabs him with one hand, bro, by the face, and he's like holding him up in the air. It's crazy. Like, there's no way anybody could do that.
Tiny dude too. Like, he's not very jacked.
He's a little scrawny dude.
And the guy he picks up's a huskier man.
Yeah. So if he got super strength from this, what did that gorilla get, and how was he not breaking out of those straps? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But yeah, he like as Josh Brolin is a terrible shot. We figured this out at the beginning of the movie when they're trying to shoot that gorilla. He just can't. He's not even that far away, man. Just point up and shoot straight.
shoot the man.
He's shooting everywhere around him, and he drops the guy into something
Like,
sticking out of the wall. Yeah,
it's gross. This is bad. That was a
like,
gross death.
Like cuts his neck and face all up. He's bleeding everywhere.
It like pops it like a bag. It's gross.
Oh yeah, blood. There's a ton of blood in this movie. That's what I said before. Is like I was surprised on how gory this was. But this is actually a pretty cool scene. The standoff between him and Josh Brolin. He's saying like you always wanted to be me. Like you're chasing what I have. I have everything, whatever. But he's using the ventilation to his advantage. He turns on all the heat so he can't see anything with the goggles. And it really puts into perspective how crazy the situation would be, like trying to hunt down and fight an invisible person.
You couldn't. I mean, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, like, and he's smart enough to use that fire extinguisher, though.
Yeah, that bicker is my favorite line of the whole movie. Is when Josh Brolin's yelling at him. He's like, you know, how can you do this? And Kevin Bacon's line, and I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, it's really easy to live with yourself when you don't have to see yourself in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
I fucking love that line. I was like, yeah,
that is a great line.
That was a pretty cool horror line.
And Kevin Bacon, he plays it so maniacal too. He never goes like out of control. Like he never goes. I don't know how to say it, but like
he's not Joker-esque.
He's not over the
cynical.
top with
it.
Yeah,
he's cynical the whole time, dude.
Yeah, he never goes over the top with it. But he's very maniacal and evil. And I like how it progresses from like just kind of a cocky kind of asshole thing into like a full-blown personality where he's like
God complex.
Yeah, exactly. You see the evolution throughout the whole movie in that character development, which is nice to see, especially in this kind of movie. You know? Matt barely gets away from this fight. They open up the doors just in time. She saves him. They're trying to get away from him and fight him a little bit. And this actually goes into one of the other cooler scenes in the movie, and that's with Sarah. She's gathering up all this blood because she has a plan of just kind of throwing blood down around, and then the footprints and everything would let them know.
Yeah, she's trying to save the guy who got his neck hit.
That's
she's like,
why
I
she
need
was
to go
getting
get
the blood. Yeah,
and then he comes in. She hears him.
She sees the door open and shut, and then she just throws the blood down all over the floor.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And then you see him like walking through. I like how they like the footprints and every stuff and all the stuff that he's doing within like the water, the blood, and everything else. That works really well. Like you can't tell that it's like CG or anything like that. It looks really well done.
I don't know if it is. Maybe it is real.
Maybe
I don't know.
But it worked. But that was a really cool scene. It didn't work though. She ended up getting killed.
When she gets him with the blood, he looks really cool too. Like when she actually like gets the blood on him.
I was surprised on how good that looked.
He looks like and I say this in positive. I don't remember if you remember Meat for Mortal Kombat. He looks like Meat from Mortal Kombat.
He like shoots her with a dart to knock her out, and then he breaks her neck while she's asleep. He's just ruthless.
Which he puts her down first and then breaks her neck.
Yeah.
Like he's real soft and calm about him, and he's like, no. I'm like, all right.
And then he sets up a trap for him. He throws her, puts her in the freezer, and then they're like looking for her, and then they walk in there. He kills the dude, like the other scientist there, stabs with that huge ass crowbar. I don't know why they would have this huge ass crowbar in this laboratory. But this huge ass crowbar he just stabs him with, and he shuts the freezer door, locks her and Matt in there. He's bleeding out because he got stabbed. Yeah. And they're pretty much fucked at this point because they're the only ones that can stop him, or only ones left, and they're being locked into this freezer. Then he turns up the knob, so they're gonna freeze to death in there, and Matt's gonna bleed out. And there's seemingly no way to get out.
Well, this is one of the dumber scenes to me. Not the scene's cool, it's fine, but like it's stupid horror logic.
Ridiculous.
Well, hers getting out, we'll get there. I'll let you explain that.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
One, he just slowed down Matt's death from turning. I understand he's trying to freeze him, but he just slowed that death down. Two, she's just letting it get cold in there. I'm like, break that fucking fan. Like, take anything and break that fan. Like, I understand cold would still get in, but not nearly at the rate it was coming in.
She had the crowbar.
If you would just throw that crowbar into that fan a couple times and break all that shit, you know?
Yeah,
like
just stab at it.
It would slow it down hugely to not have it getting pushed in there, you know?
Yeah.
Look, was she worried about the ice cream melting? Like, who cares? Like, break it. So those are two dumb decisions that I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But then
I would have
she
definitely
does.
that would have been something I would have resorted to because I would have had no idea how to do what she did here. And I
Yeah.
understand she's a scientist, but this is outrageous at this point. She makes like a magnet out of a defibrillator by like prying this handle off of this drawer, wrapping it with cables, and then like wiring it into the defibrillator, and she uses it as a magnet on the door of the freezer to slide the
Bolt over, yeah.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not remember this at all, and this is
It's
ridiculous.
pretty
Like,
ridiculous.
and I know we're talking about a movie about an invisible man, and this is
I
the
was
most
with all
ridiculous.
that.
I was with all of it because there is at least some science behind it, but this doesn't make any goddamn sense to me at all. But maybe that's just because I don't know how defibrillators work and everything like that. Maybe it would work. I don't know. But it
I don't
seems ridiculous.
imagine. I mean, I guess it would make a magnet. It's a positive and negative charge, right? Like it's a like a.
I'm not gonna pretend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to
I
that.
would beat the door down, dude. Like I said, that crowbar would have been her most useful tool. Fine, they're like, oh, the glass is bulletproof, whatever. I had to pry at that door until I got enough of it open, and then just kept prying and prying and like you'd have got it eventually, you
Yeah,
know. Like the door is just a freezer door. Freezer doors aren't made of titanium steel, you know. It's like a bunch of insulation put between two like sheet metal. You know, that's how
yeah.
they keep stuff in. I'd have got through that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, oh man, I'd have broke it. But you know, she gets out.
She gets out,
She uses
but
her brain.
as she is building this magnet, Kevin Bacon has a plot of his own. He's mixing these chemicals. He's making bombs pretty much that he's going to put in the mixer and pretty much blow the whole facility up as he's making his getaway. She pretty much stops him in his tracks as he's piecing out. He has his full disguise. Kind of looks like Kevin Bacon a little bit with his disguise. He has like a fake wig on. He's got a hat and his sunglasses. But this was pretty badass. She made not only could she make a magnet out of this, but she makes a flamethrower out of this fire extinguisher, and she lights his ass on fire. And, like,
No questions.
no questions. She's
Just
like, "Fuck this dude!" Like, no problems. And
yeah.
she keeps it on him too. It's not like she sprayed him once or twice, like you maybe would see in a couple movies. She holds it on him, like die, motherfucker. Cut to like Halloween Resurrection, Busta Rhymes.
Burn, motherfucker! Burn!
She's not playing at this point. Like I was expecting some big like speech scene. There's no more of that. From here on out, there's no more speeches and bullshit like that.
No,
They're fighting.
she's serious. Like we're getting out of here, and I'm ending this. And this also makes me feel like he has some kind of powers or something. Like, how did this dude like not
Shakes it
die?
off.
He just shakes it off.
Like,
the
the ashes come off and he's like, oh, all
like,
right, and then he runs.
The clothes, the mask, and everything he had would be lit on fire and just burn him to death. But I guess he has some powers being invisible. I guess, but they never really go into that at all. I never seen the sequel though. Maybe they do go into that in the sequel.
I don't know if the sequel's any good. I've never seen it either.
It was straight to video, so
those are the best.
I haven't seen it either.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna find it.
He gets away from her because, like you said, the fire goes out and you can see him running because he's all ash. He's burnt, but he kind of just shakes that ash off and it just kind of blows away and he's invisible again. She gets the bright idea. She holds that flamethrower up, gets the sprinklers rolling, and then she can see where he's at.
Yeah, which is a really good idea at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have thought of that.
You get a standoff between them, and of course, Matt isn't dead. He comes back and saves her. And as they're fighting, he gets electrocuted, which wouldn't they get electrocuted too? Because he's holding the crowbar and they're standing in water with the sprinklers. You'd think they would all get electrocuted.
Yeah.
That would have been a fast way to end it too. Hey, they all died. But at least they killed Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, they got him. It's fine. He's not going anywhere.
But yeah, they can't get out because their access codes don't work. They couldn't get them back. The elevator is fucked. There's a ladder and an escape hatch in the elevator shaft that they have to go to. And this like Matt is like barely alive right now. He was bleeding out, ready to die in that freezer.
Took a nap. He's fine.
But now he's fighting Kevin Bacon, who has superpowers, and now he's climbing up this big ass ladder, and it gets crazy.
And the things that Kevin Bacon do are blowing up at this point also. Like the lab is exploding at this point.
Yeah, the timer is, it's like it turns into the end of a Resident Evil game at this
Yeah.
point. The countdown's going. They got to escape the underground facility.
It's good. It's a good reference, but yeah.
And they're climbing up this ladder, and I guess maybe because the explosion is why you can see him now. I don't know where that came into play.
I think because he was electrocuted. I thought because like when he's electrocuted and he falls,
He's
you can
flashing,
see him.
yeah, like
Yeah. So I don't.
because you get a hint of that earlier in the movie, like whenever they first turn him invisible, she's like touching him in the static. You can see like the electricity on him.
All right, so yeah,
but it's a very small, like little tiny thing that you blink and you miss it type thing.
Yeah.
But it's weird because then he's just kind of a meat puppet at this. He looks like he's Frank from Hellraiser at this point.
Yeah.
Just the no skin on him, but he's chasing her. He's climbing up this ladder trying to pull her down.
Which again, pretty good CGI at this point too. I mean, again, this is kind of where it gets a little rocky, but pretty good CGI.
Yeah, and then you get really the like huge your blockbuster action moment, I guess, of the movie with the elevator falling, the explosions are happening. He grabs her and they're on top of it, pretty much like fighting. He's holding her still, and he's pretty much going to kill them both at this point. He's taking her down with him. But she has her foot on that, like the release button, which I didn't know there was for elevators that can just
an
drop
elevator that's broken too. He asked for one
point.
More kiss too, because he's a horn dog throughout this whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
that's all he wanted.
Yeah, he's a horn dog for her. And she gives it to him, which would be weird, man. It's gross. It was gross in Hellraiser. It was gross in this one. Just kissing, just meat, pretty much muscle.
Who's also been burned, so he's probably a little electrocuted,
charred a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kills him by pressing that release on the elevator, and she's holding onto the cable there, and he just drops to his death into the terrible fire effect. And if that was me, I don't know if I would have lived, because I don't know if I had the arm strength to pull myself up that cable there. Because that ladder was broken at that point. She would have had to climb up a pretty good bit just to get to the ladder where Josh Brolin's chilling.
You have to wrap it around your foot and take breaks.
But yeah, that was the end of Kevin Bacon. He's not in the sequel, so he's dead for sure. I don't know how they get to do the experiment in the second one.
It's his son.
But then you get the cliche end of the movie. Ambulances are there. They're bringing them out with the blankets over top of them. They're putting them in the ambulance, and that's the end of the movie. You see it in like so many, like dozens of these types of movies at the end.
How would they even how would they even get his body? Like they went down there and got it. Like so this building blew up.
Yeah.
And they went like down and got his, like there wouldn't be ambulances and a rescue team to climb down in there and get his body, Yeah,
and earlier in as they're going through this, because once they find out that their key cards and stuff weren't working to get out, they were like, well, when's the next people coming to check on us? Whatever, and like maybe days or weeks, who knows, like who can find us. So immediately people were there whenever they got out, because they were walking out of that warehouse with cops and stuff. So it's like, so whenever they're climbing out, there must have been people already there waiting for them. Like, you guys could have helped us a little earlier.
Yeah, come on, they're all waiting. Like, they got it. They'll handle it.
And that's the end of the movie. They kill the monster in the end. They could have just called us the Invisible Man, I guess. I don't know why they didn't, because
it's actually based off a book called Hollow Man that has nothing to do with the Invisible Man.
I saw that they had to pay. They wanted to call the movie Hollow Man from the beginning, and there was a book that had the name Hollow Man, so they had to pay to get the rights to the book. And the book had nothing to do with the story of this movie, so they had to pay just to use the name. I don't know why they didn't just use the Invisible Man at that point, but I guess Hollow Man's cool. It's an alright.
Hollow Man's cool.
But overall, man, I thought this was actually a pretty solid movie. I thought it was pretty dope. I would watch it again.
It's one of the movies from like when I was younger that I do enjoy. Like horror movies when we were growing up, there's few and far in between that I'm like, this is a good horror movie, because we were starting to get into campy horror at that point. And I think this one's good,
Yeah, there's not a lot of camp about it. It takes itself pretty seriously, but not too seriously. I mean, I feel like it'd be hard to do. Well, I guess that I haven't seen it, but apparently that Invisible Man movie that came out a couple years ago is more of a horror than a thriller. Apparently that's pretty damn good. And they took itself pretty seriously there. I have to check that out. Maybe we'll review that at some point. Get on the Invisible Man train.
I'm down.
But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Not only do you get a lot of cool kills, a lot of cool gore, but you get a decent story with decent character development throughout the whole movie. And that really what kind of lures you in and gets you connected to these characters because they're actually written pretty well.
Yeah, agreed. Plus, if you are a fan of 7 Degrees of Bacon, Josh Brolin being in this gets you so many people, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, so many people. You got the whole Avengers universe at that point.
Everybody's connected to Kevin Bacon now at this point, I feel.
Hell yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Now, would you say it's a miss it, a rent it, or a buy it?
That's a hard question for me. I know you just review. I would say rent it. I don't think it's. I'm a buyer, so I buy everything. But I say rent it.
I'm a buyer too, but I probably wouldn't buy this one. I probably wouldn't be adding this one to my collection. But I definitely recommend it. I would rent it. If you haven't seen it, I would say watch it. It's a pretty good popcorn flick. It's interesting, grabs you, gets you invested into these characters.
If it came,
I wouldn't say miss it though.
If it came out with a cool special edition, I'd probably buy it. But other than that, it's a rent it.
Like some kind of director's cut or something. Who
sure.
knows?
Nice, cool steel book or something. I don't know.
We are a sucker for those steel books.
I love a steel book.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I definitely recommend checking it out, though. Any final thoughts on it here?
Great. Kevin Bacon's awesome in it. You know,
yeah.
it's got to be at least one of my top 5 favorite Kevin Bacon films.
Next to Tremors, man, and we'll have to review Tremors here at some point as well.
Tremors is up there.
Tremors.
Yeah, it's a good Kevin Bacon film.
Yeah, that's the end of the review here. Make sure to like and subscribe and share amongst all your friends and your buddies. Make sure to go check out Tap That and all your stuff. Where can they find you, Alex?
Find me at Tap That Reviews, Bruising Reviews, whatever you want to type in, you'll find that name. We have something, I don't know when this is releasing, but we have something every Friday.
Okay, cool. Yeah, make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out the Waves 5 channel. Make sure to, if you're viewing this on the Waves 5 channel, make sure to go like and subscribe to the Cinema Trip Reviews channel itself. We have it as its own channel now. We're going to be broadcasting these on. You can still find it on the Waves 5 channel, but we wanted to have its own entity for all our reviews there. So make sure, if you're subscribed here on the Waves 5 channel, make sure to check it out on the Cinema Trip Reviews and vice versa. Make sure to follow us at Waves 5 Media on Twitter, and we'll see everybody next time.